Singapore PDA okay right? But in Malaysia is illegal. There were threats coming in already, saying that they want to like bomb like people as well as like the queer community as well.
Oh, they escaped the country.
I'm so furious, yeah. I mean, don't invite the 1975 and then let the Malaysian government be so...
Then can you try being funny in a foreign language while we wait for the people who are not subscribed to help us click the subscribe button? Faster.
不可以，不可以. That's not a foreign language though. That's a local language.
Hola, señorita. ¿Te casarías conmigo?
¿Dónde está la biblioteca? Mi motivo la arena discoteca, discoteca,
Shakira,
monteca, la
Shakira.
biblioteca.
Is that actually something?
Yeah, I basically just talked about a library. Hello everybody, so you guys haven't heard a very popular annual festival in Malaysia called Good Vibes started and then ended within the same day because of the band called the 1975 and its frontman Matty Healy.
Aiyo.
Yeah, so you guys haven't heard. Basically, what happened was that he went on a allegedly drunken rant about the Malaysian government, and it was mainly centered around the LGBT laws in the country. How do you guys react when you guys saw the TikTok?
I couldn't believe that they banned it halfway through. I thought it was like the show finished, and then after that they say, oh, so we've been banned from now on.
Yeah.
But then after that, I started seeing TikToks of like people filming, like literally he said, sorry, we've just got banned, then bye. Then he left, and then the stage crew started bringing all their drum set, everything, the sound equipment, all bring off the stage. Then
It was instant, man.
It
No,
was
it
right
was
after.
like apparently it was like 2 songs after, or
Which
like
is
1 song
pretty
after.
instant.
Yeah.
Also, it's not like they performed halfway through already their set, then he did that.
Oh no, it was. So it was like I think half an hour into the set. Then after he like basically observers or witnesses said that throughout the entire thing he looked agitated and drunk already.
Right.
Then like around 30 minutes in he just started talking.
So in order of events, right? This was on this is a music festival.
Day one.
3 days. This was day 1.
It was day one.
Yeah.
How much the ticket?
Wow, I think 200.
No, but because a lot of people fly from overseas.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So there
Yeah.
was accoms, there was travel, flight. I have friends that actually travel all the way there from Singapore.
Right.
Yeah.
And
my
then
friends also.
super angry with like...
I saw one person
1975.
tweet say what the timestamp I fly to KL. Then after the timestamp I'm on the flight back.
So the chronological order of events, right, is that what I saw online was people posting about him doing a kiss first. So I saw the kiss. Then I thought, oh, some drama happening, right? Then they kena ban. Then after that, I start to see the footage of him talking, right?
Yeah.
Then after the talking, then it was only like the day after, then they announced that the rest of the concert was cancelled.
Yep.
Then that's when shit went crazy, right?
Wait, whole festival as in because there are like vendors, like food vendors
Yeah.
and whatnot there also. So they
Cancel.
all go home also.
Yeah, unfortunately. So
Then
like...
did they do a full refund?
So what the Malaysian government and the organisers did say, the Malaysian government said that like for the food vendors, we're doing what we can to ensure that they either get like refunded or like there's some avenues. A lot of the well-known ones all decided to either donate the food or like create different promos in their own like branches. But it was damn shag because a lot of them said that this event was going to be a massive like publicity campaign for them, and so like they spent months just gearing up for it,
Right.
spent thousands and thousands of ringgit just to like gear up for it, and then now that it was cancelled. But I think before we jump into that, like I think the main debate that was sparked online was whether or not what Matty Healy did was like the right thing lah. Because sure, you can agree or disagree with like the LGBT laws, but then there was a whole debate about whether that really helped the situation. Initially when I saw it, I was like, oh, I also saw the kiss and I thought like, oh no, is this Malaysia overreacting? But then news started coming out about how like there was actually the government didn't actually approve 1975 going to Malaysia. So what happened was that the concert organisers and the band's management signed a letter of undertaking, which is like a massive legal document. You can be like sued and shit if you don't adhere to it lah. Which is what happened.
But what I am like a bit conflicted about is that when I first saw the video, as in I first saw the kiss part only, I didn't see his rant before that. So at first I just thought like, oh, okay, just him doing Matty Healy things lah. Because as in previous shows during Robbers and what, he had brought fans on like whatever gender to kiss them.
Yeah.
Robberies.
Robbers.
Robbers.
During the song Robbers.
Right.
So
Sorry.
Walao, just because
Warm
Malaysia,
up,
they say
warm
walao.
So at first I thought that it was part of that song,
Yeah.
but then he chose to kiss a bandmate because he didn't want to
Cannot-
endanger
yes.
a fan by bringing them up on stage and kissing them.
Wait, why you cannot kiss a fan?
Because Malaysia is more conservative, ma.
So
So,
maybe he
especially if he brings a guy up, then it's, they might
Oh, he
something
only kiss
might
guys?
happen to them, lah. No, he either or doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But even kissing a girl like in their religion and whatever might not be good, lah. Like it's public display of affection and all that.
So the reason why
Yeah.
and like a lot of people are giving the government shit, right? But actually this is the most liberal government already in Malaysia. The reason why they did it was, according to their quote, the band made a mockery of Malaysian laws and mannerisms, and they also indulged in an indecent act, the same-sex
Yeah.
kiss lah.
I'm sorry, for
Yeah.
context, right? Because even though we are right next to and used to be from Malaysia, I feel like it's a very different world.
I would love it if we
Because
made it.
in my head, right, Singapore, the whole time I grew up, right, is you want to PDA or you want to kiss your partner or whatever in public, okay, right? But in Malaysia, is illegal or what?
Oh, I
Illegal?
mean, I don't think it's illegal for opposite sex PDA, but it's very. I mean, at least when I was growing up there, it was very strange to see it. Because I will remember my family, right, going to Singapore for the first time, or maybe not first time, but in a while, and seeing couples like hold hands and put arms around each other on like an escalator, right? And I remember over dinner they were like, "Wow, Singapore like that one, ah." Like,
Cannot hold hands. I thought kiss. Okay, never mind. Then,
like I'm sure people hold hands nowadays in Malaysia. Like again, I was like how young when I moved.
People always nowadays in Malaysia.
But it's a lot more conservative as a state, and I think like the context that should be set is that in Malaysia there's a huge conservative movement. Majority of Malaysians are religious, and like the religious parties are like gaining in popularity. So there's been a lot of controversies. We've spoken about this before in previous episodes, where like a lot of concerts are being called out by conservative groups, saying like, "Hey, why are you like corrupting the morals of our country?"
Right, right,
Coldplay had to come out and apologize
Like
because
the
they used the
Blackpink one
LGBT flag before in past concerts. And for Coldplay to
Oh.
go like, "We're sorry if we anger anyone. We just want to come and play our music."
Use the correct accent.
I'm sorry. You know, Jared was doing a Matty Healy impression yesterday, and he couldn't stop. It was getting so annoying, but it was damn funny. At the start, like, he was like, "I'm furious, yeah. Your government, you are not your government," and then he was doing it for the whole day, and I can't do it now. So like, I'm not gonna try.
he memorized the whole speech.
He really did, yeah. But anyway, again, this is not a surprise to many 1975 fans because apparently he got banned in 2019 in Dubai,
Dubai,
which
yeah.
also has very strict LGBT laws.
Is it for doing the same thing?
he kissed a fan also. Right?
A male
fan.
Yeah.
Oh.
This time was a fan.
male
lah.
fan in Dubai.
Yeah, because
Wait, how is
the,
he not dead yet?
But the,
the
fan
male
wanted
How is he
fan?
not cancelled?
The fan's like, "Oh my god, can I kiss you or something?" They're like, "Sure, why not?" Like,
But he signed the same thing?
no lah.
No.
I don't think so.
Oh, at that point, they don't know
yeah,
yet.
that's
No,
the
no,
thing,
which is why Malaysia was so cautious because he has this history
Oh,
of
okay,
this.
okay.
That's why I
okay.
didn't know about the letter of undertaking because I was thinking, why would they let him in? Because this is brand. That's the whole band.
Yeah.
You know, they will go around. I don't know.
Yeah.
Then when I saw the news of the undertaking thing, then I realized, oh shit,
Yeah.
wow, damn jialat.
Actually, now that I think about it, right, when I've travel, right, when I go to Western country, actually the PDA is way more obvious.
Yeah.
Like I will be sitting somewhere watching like a busker, right, and then you just see couples like
Making out.
more than making out,
Yeah.
them aggressively. But then when you go to Asian countries,
No,
don't
no.
really have couple behavior, not whole hand, no.
Yeah,
is
yeah.
the max.
And also the fan that even if it's a female fan that he pulls on stage, there's been instances where they're like in a relationship or married, that kind. So it's really
He's just
depends
a
on who
troublemaker.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like, it goes to show we don't know who cancelled who, but like, apparently, 1975 was supposed to go and play in Indonesia and Taiwan as well. And Taiwan is meant to be fairly pro LGBT, you know, huge like LGBT like support, and it was also cancelled there. So
Oh.
like, we don't know who cancelled who,
Oh.
unless you guys know.
No, I heard that the reason why they cancelled it was because there were threats coming in already from like I think extremist groups saying that they
Oh.
want to like bomb like people like the band as well as like the queer community and all this kind of shit.
Oh.
So if they were to organize and continue the concert, it might endanger the people there.
Yeah.
So that became the priority, I think. From what I heard.
Yeah. So speaking of the LGBT community and the group, what was surprising to me was that almost immediately on Twitter, which is still very popular in Malaysia but not in Singapore, a lot of members of the LGBT community in Malaysia actually called out Matty Healy and said, you have completely did us a massive disservice. You have set us back decades in terms of our fight for LGBT rights in Malaysia. And like this was the most selfish, white savior complex thing you could have done. We don't need your help.
What is like the nuance? Like what is it about the way that the Malaysian LGBT movement has to like treat the issue differently?
So this is only from what I've read and I guess like have gathered, not a member of the LGBTQ community unfortunately, but an
Really?
ally. And I guess if I think where the nuance is that like if you what we normally read about in terms of the LGBT like movements in the West is that it tends to be very I wouldn't say aggressive, but it tends to involve big, large gestures, right? It's either protests, it's either like rallies. We come out and then it's almost like forcing the agenda, and sometimes that works and sometimes that helps. Sometimes
Naked
when you
Mao. Like
Sure.
they walk parade naked.
maybe
No?
no lah, but like if you need to create like a statement that might
That's
work
the-
in
yeah,
the
the best
West,
way to-
right?
Free the nipple.
For women, yeah, I also support that one.
Do you?
Free the nipple?
I
Yeah,
thought
why
we
not?
talked about this before. We don't.
Oh really?
Yeah, because you get desensitized. Why would you want that?
But for that short period of time, you just get to see nipples.
Free the
Nipple.
titties.
So I think in general in Malaysia, because there's such a massive conservative movement, right? And whether it doesn't matter what religion you are, even though there is a massive like Muslim population and the Islamic Party is gaining in popularity, there's also Christian conservatives. There's also all these other conservatives that are very anti-LGBT. And so from what I've read and from what I've heard, the movement has been very like it takes a very subtle approach because it involves a lot of education. It involves a lot of like get to know me as a person first and then realize I'm LGBT. You know, it's a very one-to-one
Right.
approach that takes time, and also the government from what I see is that they want to be as liberal as possible, but they need to come across as moderate because if not, they are going to lose elections, and if they lose elections, the alternative is a massively super conservative party.
Yeah.
And so for them to have to toe the line of saying, look, we need to appease a lot of the conservatives, so unfortunately we have to call this entire festival off and make a statement. But we're on your side. It's just that this fight it's not a 3-year fight, it's a 20-year fight. Because we have to slowly create that wave, right? Is what's happening. And so like with Matty Healy, like what he's done, right, is that he's given ammo to conservatives to be like ban all the bands from coming, essentially. Because that's the calls that are coming in. Like people are saying ban Blackpink, people are saying ban Coldplay, and then you get a Malaysia that is so like sheltered from everything, and you don't have all these external bands that are coming in anymore. Anyway, to summarize what has happened so far, as of time of filming, local talents, because they were also due to perform at Good Vibes and unfortunately lost their talent, lost their platform. People like the Little Tan, who is really popular in Malaysia and wanted to
Yeah.
dedicate a song that she wrote for her mother and unfortunately didn't have that platform to do so
Little.
anymore and scolded the shit out of Matty Healy. So local artists as well as vendors are coming together and are suing 1975.
Correct. They better have some fucking repercussions.
They can
This
sue them
is
because of the letter of
insane,
undertaking, is it?
Why are they
Oh,
not in
damn.
jail? If sorry, they didn't do anything illegal, right?
So the problem is that they could have been arrested, probably based on I don't know, like indecent act maybe. I don't know the Malaysian law that well.
Signed documents.
But what was really funny was that everyone who was calling them out, especially people of the LGBT community, was saying, you come and say this thing, create a shitstorm for us, and then you go and pack up and fly off at 4 a.m. And it felt as though their flight confirmed wouldn't have been 4 a.m. to begin with. They escaped the country. So like clearly it was a fucking like runaway situation.
Is it possible to like for a country, right, to sue the band?
It
Like-
is.
Like has that happened or whatever? So I
Oh.
Google so I
Oh.
went to search, right. Then I found some ridiculous
Lawsuits
against
against-
the celebrities. So there's
Okay.
one, if I'm not wrong, let me check. There's one, some lady who went to
Some lady.
who went to Michael Jackson's concert, right? She say the new song that he sang, the last 3 songs or something, right? He wasn't actually singing it, and she hired an audio expert, right, to prove that he wasn't singing it. He went to that, but of course she didn't win lah. But you get what I mean? Then ridiculous.
I was so angry with Daniel Caesar because he did that for his last song. But
Wait, as in he just sat there, he didn't sing.
he just held the mic out for the entirety of Get You, which is like his most famous song. He didn't sing a
And he's
single
in
word.
Japanese denim. Oh.
boycotting him.
Yeah.
Oh.
No. I'm still listening to 1975. So was so good.
So he didn't do the best part.
Good one. Wait, last one. So Justin
good.
Bieber also kena sued by a fan because
He
the
made her pregnant.
screams at the concert was so loud, right, made her deaf permanently.
Okay. What?
That's crazy.
Okay, not deaf, permanently damaged.
Oh my
Both
god.
her ears. Then she sued Justin Bieber.
Then a lot of people can sue Michael Jackson. You know the amount of people that faint at his concert or not?
Exactly.
It's so funny because they packed the stadium like first time ever they are seeing him, right? Then he appeared, then they're like, ah! Then they missed the whole concert.
Did I tell you all about the goat head before?
What?
Crazy shit that happens, right? At
Someone
concerts,
brought a
right?
goat head.
There was this satanic band. They bring a goat on stage, right? And they behead the goat. Then they throw the head into the crowd, right? Then kena one guy, he concussed. Then kena lawsuit. Oh, fucking funny.
Did he win though? Did he win?
God.
I think so. I think the band cannot perform for quite a while. But
Because some people say he's acting drunk.
so it's
But he's not
water.
actually- Yeah, I don't know lah, but he's pretending to
Hey,
be
his
drunk.
liver,
boy.
every single show he's drinking bottle. Like,
How he maintained his physique
bottles.
So
So
it could
unfair.
just be an act.
It's
I
his
think it's
art.
an
It is the performance.
Yeah, it's the performance, the art.
Okay, like if you agree that the Malaysian government should have allowed the festival to continue and only ban the 1975. And comment down below if you disagree. Back to the episode. Pew! Pew.
I think the broader conversation when it comes to this, right, is I don't think there's a right and a wrong. Like, what we are advocating for, or maybe even the ideals that we are constantly bombarded with, right, are very Western ideas, and they stem from a very different culture. It doesn't make it right. Just because it's louder doesn't make it right. So, when I hear of like, not that I'm against opening up discussions or against LGBT or whatever other cause, right? But where lies the danger, right, of us eradicating certain cultures? Or is that just a natural state of, is that how the world works?
What do you mean by eradicating certain
Like
cultures?
gradually just...
I think it's about being mutually respectful. Because I think if I think you're exactly right. We're using a lot of Western ideals to say that like some religions are backwards, but if you actually genuinely want to create a safe space, right? So just the other day, like I was talking to someone and they were saying like how it's important to create a safe space. But what they were describing to me, right, was a safe space for liberals. And like, so like someone in a group setting gave a very conservative opinion and it offended a lot of people who are liberals. And so she said like she created a safe space by shutting that person down, that conservative person down. And to me, that's not a safe space. Like, because a safe space is for everyone to air their views and for all of us to go, okay, now we understand both sides. We'll agree to disagree. And like, I think we are so used to creating a space where liberals get to say what they want and not get offended, but conservatives are painted in the wrong light and like outdated, backwards dinosaurs. And I think that's not fair because they also have a valid like space to air their grievances lah. And I think if there's certain religions that feel like certain things are not right, then who are we to impose our values if we don't want them to impose their values?
As in, like, my question is like, does the proliferation of a pro-LGBT movement actually erode like Asian cultures? Because is there no way for both of them to exist? And like, how to say, Asian cultures can say that we have a traditional way of life and it's like that, but then Asian cultures also teaches us to be respectful to each other. Right?
Yeah.
So then, which truth do I give more weight to? And then at what point is Asian culture really eroded? Because there's so many more other facets to it aside from just who you love.
So doesn't this tie back to libertarianism, which is where if you any group, right, that has certain beliefs, the moment they infringe on or for some reason require themselves to force their beliefs onto others or cause harm to another group just because of differing beliefs, then that is the key issue. But outside of that, right, if everybody can live harmoniously with the differences, then that is the ideal lah.
Yeah.
No, but who is then the moral police to be saying, okay, now this is harmful? Because on both sides, right, when I feel like my values are getting attacked, then I feel like, okay, that's harmful to me, whatever you are saying now is infringing on me. Then the other side will always feel the same. So there needs to be a middleman, but nobody can be that authority. Right?
No, which is why I guess it's important to keep it within that community law. And it's harder today because of social media. So I guess then it's creating maybe private groups. It's creating spaces, safe spaces for each of these groups to like commune online virtually. And
Does
have
this
those
not then lead to,
conversations.
for example, the Trump issue where like he got say forced off Twitter and then he joined a more like conservative like social media app, right? Where then it becomes a more extremist echo chamber in itself.
Yeah. So I think that's. You want to go first?
No, please. You already started, dude.
Yeah, but I think that's the thing that people misunderstand about like the new Elon Musk Twitter, right? Because before this, there were what came out was that a lot of people were being shadow banned just because they were giving non-liberal views, and that's what happened. Twitter then became a very like liberal echo chamber, and if you have slightly more conservative views, it gets like downlisted, or the algorithm doesn't like bring up your feed to more people. So Elon Musk Twitter was basically, his view was that both sides get to have the same like generation of reach. It's just that because people started seeing more conservative tweets, they thought, oh, it's a conservative wave now,
Right.
which is what people misunderstood.
Yeah, I also don't know about who is the, like whether it is that complicated to find a middle ground to have that governing body, right? Because when we talk about morals and all this kind of stuff also, the morals and ethics, right? And creating those laws, I feel like there is a general baseline consensus.
Like what we agree on. Like
Yeah. So then, if and yeah, that's why I also don't think it's that extreme. For example, if you have your own beliefs and whatever, and yes, we start to form our own circles, right? It still doesn't mean that we cannot live together, right? We talk about multicultural and multiracial and all these other things, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's still, we still can overlap. Yeah. It's only when they infringe on someone else, like their safety or whatever, then that is.
But
that
don't
is-
you think this is a very Singapore argument? Like it's because we live here, right? And the ability to like coexist and like be a lot more tolerant in a sense, versus overseas when people tend to like maybe be a lot more strong in their views and take offense more also. And they're a lot more outspoken about the offense that they have taken.
Yeah, I think the issue, but we look at Singapore, right? And I think Singapore has been a massive success when it comes to
multicultural.
multiculturalism and tolerance. But even then, something like LGBT was a heated topic between people.
Which is okay, because we can facilitate for the conversation. But it's when I go and attack the LGBT motherfucker, right? Then I kena.
No,
Then
but
I should
this
kena.
doesn't happen in Singapore. As in,
Yeah.
in Singapore, it's more like a more civil conversation, or at most they keyboard warrior and fight online. But overseas, right, high chance they will really go and beat someone up, like just because of how they portray themselves.
Then that one
Yeah.
go jail. That
So-
one is
Yeah,
the
that-
part where the
yeah.
law is implemented.
But then in so many of these countries, you see that the law turns around and protects these people instead, and that's where the issue is, ma.
Yeah, so I think if we just look as close as possible, it's Malaysia, right, where like it wasn't LGBT, but there have been like racial riots, or there have been like just mini fights as recent as like maybe 10 years ago in the mall, right, where there was a race breakout. And I think if there's really tension between groups of people, then something as controversial, I would say, still in today's age, like LGBT, would like spark an even crazier like violence and like conflict, lor.
Right.
Yeah.
But then that being said, like Singapore does face a very different, how to say, like it's the undertones.
So speaking of this, where I think the most Shrekness, there's no other, the biggest of Shrekness lies on the concert organizers, because now, right, firstly they're liable because they signed the letter of undertaking saying that 1975 won't do these things, and now they did it. So the government can actually sue the concert organizers. Then, because they have to refund everybody, but also having to pay for building the stage already, or paying all the artists who already flew
Oh.
down.
It's damn shit.
They literally have to. They confirm will go broke at this stage, lah. I'm
why they
guessing.
don't have a sound guy that's from the event organizer's side?
Yes. So someone was saying, why didn't you just shut it down?
Yeah.
And another observer was saying that usually when all the bands come on, right, their crew is the one that takes over all these things. So they won't be surprised that the organizers were desperately trying to stop
Signal
it.
yeah.
And then what happened was that Matty Healy walked off and said, we're banned from Kuala Lumpur, bye-bye.
Yeah, not saying that it's their fault that they weren't able to do that, but there should be like some kind of like a backup plan, knowing that everything is on the line, right?
Yeah,
Your whole event is on the line. If this guy goes crazy, and it's not like he's completely sober and like walking around. I mean, unless there's apple
Oh
juice.
my
lah.
god, some people say he's acting drunk.
So he's
But
water.
actually- Yeah, I don't know lah, but he's pretending to be
His
drunk.
liver,
boy.
every single show he's drinking bottle, like
How he maintain his physique
bottles.
So it could just be an act.
It's
I
his
think it's
art.
an
It is the performance.
Yeah, it's the performance, the art.
Right.
Yeah, so I think that's the problem with him. Like, I went to listen to some of the podcasts that he has appeared on, right? Where people have said that he has said very controversial things, like derogatory, racist comments and all that kind of stuff, right? The problem, right, is that, sure, if you're trying to be funny, witty, or play on that edge and that line, right, make the jokes you want, right? There are people who can do accents and make fun of accents and whatnot and cultures, but the point that they are driving at is usually laughing at either themselves and their ignorance or at something that everybody can laugh at that is safe. But when he does it, right, he's literally just attacking the people for being who they are, which is for the most part the problem, right?
He's
It's like,
Joycelyn Chia.
Yeah, I was gonna say he reminds me of Joycelyn Chia.
also, Malaysia's sense of humor should be safe. Yeah, but I really think that that's one of the key issues. And for him also, right, when I hear what he's saying, right, it's ignorance. He's culturally insensitive. Being drunk is irresponsible and just so fucking ignorant. Like, damn childish. It seems to stem from some either insecurity or whatever. Like, a lot of the time, right, he okay, so I go and read a bit more about him just now before we shoot, right?
I have his entire timeline.
I don't care about celebrity. That's the problem. Like, so very hard for me to comment on this. But I went to kind of deep dive into it, and to me, it stems from like some form of a god complex. Like, he is so famous, and the fame has got to him that he honestly, I think he believes he's above everybody else. So when he goes on rants or he tries to contribute to a conversation, for example, during like the Black Lives Matter and all this kind of shit, right? He's talking down. He's coming from a position of like, I know better than all of you. I'm more educated. I'm above this. Cancel culture, I'm not going to be part of this conversation. But cannot what? A lot of the times you have to be, you have to understand it enough and find the nuance and be able to finesse it in such a way where you get people to understand.
Yeah.
Not just be, I'm better than this, fuck y'all.
Yep.
You know? Yeah.
Actually, that happens a lot. Like, especially his comments on like ISIS, right? Like over the past few years, and how
Commented on ISIS.
he how to say, in his mind, right, ISIS equals what Islam is. So he doesn't have a separation between the two, and he feels like they are the same thing. And then when the fans like try to educate him, then he will just say something that he deactivate his whole social.
Yep. So his argument for that is that you don't understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Think 2 levels deeper, then you will understand what I'm actually trying to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he keeps doing that. But
If no one understands what you're saying, then is there even a point? I think the problem is because
Kanye did the same thing.
that's true.
Yeah.
That's true. But the problem is that he's not as famous as Kanye.
It's
lah.
all these men.
Like, I think the real issue is that no matter how much shit he gets into, right, there is a group of die-hard, like either 1975 or Matty Healy fans, right, that will defend him like to the grave. And it's crazy, and I think that gives you some level of like ego and narcissism that is very impenetrable.
Do you think that the issue is that like issues, for example, like LGBT, crosses just like the social aspect and goes into politics? And then if you take out the politics from this, aka like the government having to like balance both sides and then like being more strict on certain things and all that, then maybe this is less of an issue. And then that begs the question, like, should musicians stay out of politics? Because something that why? Your answer
Is it not a given
why?
No,
that they should stay out of politics?
Why?
Okay, so first of all, we have to understand why these people are famous and why they even have a voice to begin with, correct?
Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with media manipulation. Say you get famous for one thing, like, and especially in today's day and age, right, you're famous on TikTok just because you look a certain way. Does that mean that as a human being you are special, or suddenly now you are very good at politics? You understand the conversation that's going on and the complexity of all these matters? For fuck, you weigh in.
Yep.
But the problem is that you are given a certain level of power, right? That just because you have the power doesn't give you the right or the ability to suddenly then to understand something enough to comment on it.
But what if it's a very clear like right and wrong? So for example, one of the things that was problematic that they brought up with Matty Healy was that when his like long-time videographer or something had allegations of sexual harassment against him, then he suddenly keep quiet. He suddenly don't want to comment about feminism and all this kind of stuff. And then I think another example that I had was Taylor Swift actually has a documentary on Netflix, right, where she was saying that her image was to be that like just a nice girl that sings. like for the longest time until there was like midterm election or something like recent a few years back only that she felt like she had to speak out on, because essentially it was a woman that was advocating for, I cannot remember the exact term. Okay, so essentially the law that this woman is campaigning for will remove a lot of like defenses that women in America have. For example, like stalker, this kind of stuff, domestic abuse, like it will turn a lot of laws against them.
Yeah.
So then she felt like she had to make a stand, because like now that she has a voice, and over the years she didn't dare to speak out, right? Until this one really triggered her, because she's a victim of stalking, and like very serious stalking herself.
She had to speak now lah.
Yeah. So she felt like,
Because
she's
you use my technique, basket.
because she's American, so she needed to speak up. And then as in, so a lot, like her father and her manager or something was like against it, because it felt like it's gonna destroy her image. But then in the end she did, and then youth registration after she spoke up, right, jumped by 7-fold, and it was like a record number of people that went out to vote because she spoke up and asked people to go and vote.
Yeah.
Right.
Where I think there should be a balance is that we can't deny that the celebrity, as in not the person, but celebrity as like status, is really a huge factor when it comes to politics, which is why a lot of popular politicians end up winning elections just from celebrity, like Donald Trump and whatever, right? And so if you are someone who's popular, you do have sway with people, and if there's something that you feel is right, it's very hard to objectively say who is right and wrong, because both sides have points. But if you really believe in something that's right and you need to make change, then you have that platform. I think where it becomes dangerous is that people or youth, for example, high registration, to me at least, doesn't always mean a good thing, because if they weren't going to be politically involved anyway, and they are just blindly following something and not actually reading up on it and actually understanding the causes, it's just because my favorite person say let's do this, then we do this. It becomes very dangerous, because what if it wasn't a good cause, but they say come, we're rallying and we're going to do this together, then it becomes very dangerous in that sense. And so people need to be able to balance. Just because a celebrity says it doesn't mean it's always true, but they can raise awareness of something because they have that platform to do so, and then go and look it up yourself. And like
I
find
think
out.
that reminds me of like when you talk about like stocks or crypto or whatever, right? You must, if I'm the spokesperson to promote a certain coin, right? I have to say NFA, NFA, you
Dior.
must do. Oh yeah, Dior, do your own research, okay? Please, but I'm promoting this. So I feel like if as a celebrity, right, say I'm trying to raise awareness about feminism or whatever, right? Then I feel like it's my responsibility to tell people to do their own research on this, like not blindly follow me.
But the issue is that
You
what
are
is the
promoting
percentage of people that will actually do their own research versus thinking that, oh, this crypto guy, he damn rich from doing this, and then so he say buy this, I just go and buy this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
To me, the danger comes where they take it upon themselves to push for something that they don't fully understand. So, okay lah, I mean, obviously, they can do anything the fuck they want, right? But if say I am the celebrity, what I will do is I will bring on the people who are actually involved, who are actually at the experts in their field.
And it's so to give them a platform instead of just speaking.
Correct.
Right.
So like some podcasters that we know, or like Lex Friedman and that kind of stuff also, they also accept that they don't understand. So they use their skill set and maybe their platform to bring these people on to help people to better understand the complexities of the issue, and then let people make their own choices and decisions. Versus like what you mentioned with Taylor Swift, right? Hey, everybody, if you're my fan, go and vote for this thing. You know, there's no deeper level of understanding towards the cause.
Yeah. I mean, as in to clarify, she never say that. Actually, in fact, she mainly say go and vote. But then she will say, this person, this is what she's advocating for.
Yeah.
Make sure you go and vote.
Yeah,
but she doesn't say lah. She insinuates though.
No, so great driver for awareness.
Yeah.
But how much can you really say in, for example, like a tweet or four, right? to help people to understand the issues on a deeper level.
Yeah.
Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this episode of the Daily Ketchup Podcast. Like, share, subscribe, tell your mother about us, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye. Speaking of throwing things off stage, right? I don't know about you guys, but I've seen, it's not a compilation because there's only like 3 or 4 clips, right? But you all know like Steve Aoki like throws a cake during his like sets because he
Kick me.
Yeah, exactly. Kick Me. He has a song named Kick Face, right? He is incredibly accurate. like there's literally anyone who holds the poster, right? And
He
if
will
like it's far, right? Like maybe at the like end of that wall, he will just throw from here and it will hit face and it will just be that person only.
No lah.
Yeah.
No, the person purposely aim one lah.
No,
you think what?
I will show you the
At this
clip.
distance, even if I try.
I will show you the clip. So right, that was one. That was the first one I saw. So I googled like see what Yuki's furthest throw, right? The guy was on a wheelchair. They carried him up, right? And he was fucking far. The kick flew a fucking damn high distance, right? And it landed just nice on him. And he was so happy.
This could be a mobile game.
Wait, do you not
It
follow
is.
Steve Aoki on YouTube?
No,
I don't.
different age.
He has-
I was
no,
gonna
so
say Gumball.
Steve Aoki has a whole workout program with cake on his YouTube channel.
No way.
So yeah, he works out with the cake.
Then he have happy endings.